cohabitation and what are the reason behind the word divorce. As initially we were discussing about the marriages, and we discussed some of its factors due to declining in the trends of the marriages. So in this lecture we will discuss about the cohabitation, and then we will discuss about the term divorce. So cohabitation, the word cohabitation, you can count it as alternative of the marriage, alternative of the marriage. Cohabitation is the relationship where two people who are not married to each other but live together as if they were married, or you can say pupil relationship, or stay together without marriage. This is alternative of the marriage. If you remember the first lecture, when we were talking about declining the marriages, I use a term that because of so many alternatives, so because of the introduction of the new alternatives of the marriages, because of them there has been a long-term decline in the trends of the marriages. So these trends, when I was discussing in the previous class, was cohabitation is one of them. So cohabitation, when people stays together without a marriage, and this is known as cohabitation. If we talk about some of perspective of the guilds, if I add in the cohabitation, they argued that the common law marriage, where a couple lives together as if married, was extensively practiced in the past. Cohabitation is not legally recorded in the UK, but so statistics somehow give us an idea that in past 25 years, survey methods have produced more reliable estimates, where identifying that there is a broad increase in the cohabitation from 10% of couples in 1986 to 25% in 2006. Around 25% of the young people aged from 25 to 29 now cohabit, compared with around 18% in the mid of 1990s. So the relevant amount of proportion of the cohabiting couple families have also increased significantly in the past 10 years, from 9% to 15% of the all family. So that statistics is not a normal one. That statistics are much more higher than you can expect. So what could be the reason behind the cohabitation? So we'll discuss that what are the reason and causes of the increase in the cohabitation. So we will discuss some of its factors. Causes in the cohabitation, or you can in increasing cohabitation. Number one, reduce the social pressure to marry. Reduce social pressure to marry, because you are already in a relationship. So there are so many reasons. As you remember in the previous class, we were discussing about that marriage is not a sensible option in the late modernism. So it reduce the somehow social pressures to marry when you are a cohabit. The next is lower level of stigma attached. Lower level of stigma attached with someone without being married. The third is the wider availability of the birth control, because you have so much options to control the birth. So you may cohabit because of the abortion and so many other stuff. Through them you can control the birth, so that could be a better option as compared to the marriage. So because of all these points, cohabitation becomes, or you can say there is an increase in the trends of the cohabitation. There are some more and the solid reason given by Smart and Stevens give us four main reasons that is, you can say, upward the trend in the cohabitation. Number one, we have basically changing attitudes to marriage. Changing attitudes to marriage. These range from no interest in the institution of marriage itself to uncertainty about whether a partner is suitable for a marriage or not. Now people see either partner is suitable for marriage or not. Number second, for someone cohabitation represent a test. Cohabitation is a test to prove that they can settle down. When they stay together, they see that either they can manage the things well or not, and gain and keep paid work and interact successfully with the mother's children before marriage. Some male and females move into and out of serial cohabitation, and one cohabiting relationship followed by another. Okay, so what they think, for example, when people stays together, they see either they can manage things properly or not. If they can manage, then there will be a fine. They will not, they are less likely to change the pattern of their life. And if they are not in a position to manage their life properly, what they will do, they will go to another cohabitation, because it's much more easier as compared to the marriage, because in the marriage you have so much things to do. There is a way to give divorce to your wife, so in that perspective you no need to do anything extra. You just uh, you know break down, or you can say you can just uh, split, or you can leave each other uh, more easier as compared to the marriage. So that's become is like a test. You are going to test yourself. Third is, many cohabiting present are unwilling to enter in a legal relationships. Unwillingness. Parents are either unwilling to enter into a legal relationship, or they believe that it is easier, as I was talking previously, it is easier to leave a cohabiting relationship if it does not work out. So it becomes a very easy way of spending life, because you can leave each other at any point at any time, when things are not going well into your favor. So that could be another reason. And the last point is that there may be philosophical resistance. Somehow there is a resistance to marriage influenced by the feminist ideas, that some people believing that cohabitation leads to more equal relationships. So because of the trends in the, or because of increasing in the sense of, or the ideology of the feminism, so mostly people believe that we can you know exchange so much stuff in the cohabitation as compared to the marriage. Now, if we talk about the divorce, when things are not doing well in the marriage, so what ultimately happens, that people will get divorced. So why, I'm just giving you few terms to understand that why people get married, why people get married. There could be two reasons. Number one, romantic love. where the love given to partner is unconditional, but if one partner falls out of love, there is nothing to hold the marriage together. People love each other, and one of them, when they will get when they want to get out of this trend, so then you can say that marriage will not stay, would they will be unable to stay together. Other could be confluent love. Confluent love is not unconditional. That was unconditional, but that is not unconditional. People have something in their mind when they are getting married. One partner gives it in return for something else. For example, one partner may marry because they believe this will enhance their social status. If this fails to happen or changes over time, there is nothing to keep the couples together. So that was something about the reason behind the marriage. We were talking about the divorce. So there are some term you can say separation as well, and this is alternative of the word divorce. There are two terms you need to understand. First one is empty shell, and other one, of course, divorced. Divorce is a legal termination, or you can say legal separation from the relationship. Empty shell, where the couples are married in a name only, living in the same home but as a separate individual. Empty shell, they are married but they don't want to stay together in a one room, so that becomes an empty shell. Let's see what are the reason behind getting divorced. If we talk about the reason behind getting divorced, is number one, social policy. There is increase in divorce. Number one, social policy. Now, what social policy said, changes are the first factor that explain rapidly increasing the diversity in the earlier 1970s. Divorce Act extending the grounds of the divorce. The word is irretrievable breakdown. So what is it? Retrievable breakdowns. I'm using the word here. Social policy is irretrievable breakdown. Irretrievable breakdown. What is irretrievable breakdown? The ending of the marriage relationship for a reason other than the death of the partner. So there are so many reasons apart from the death that when marriage ends. So it making divorce possible, even if only one partner wanted to divorce, uh, then they can come out from the marriage life. So because of that policy, you can say there has been increase in the rate of the divorce. Number second, economic factor. As we were discussing in the trends of declining the marriages, so that was the basic one. Here is also, when people are not financially strong enough, what ultimately happened, uh, they will get divorced. We also look at the economic factors. Increasing inequality, if we talk about the UK, has meant that lower social classes now get paid less compared to rising the living cost. This means that both partners in a marriage now need to do paid work to get by, which puts a strain on the marriage, which leads to the higher number of getting divorced. Then, from the perspective of the new rights would claim that increasingly generous welfare benefit for a single mother is a crucial factor which allows a woman to divorce if they deem it necessary. Because if divorce occur within a family, in 9 out of 10 cases, the child will go to the mother. So making it difficult to find full-time work and enhance or hence benefits may be necessary link in the chain of explaining the increase in the divorce. The new rights would also see the increasing divorce rate as a sign of wider moral decline, a point of which is not shared by the uh, in next three perspective which we will discuss. So welfare system, welfare system. Because in that perspective, when women get divorced, 9 out of 10 women will take a control of the kids. So in the UK, there are so many facilities for the kids. So what ultimately happened that women will enjoy, because they have she has their children. So what ultimately happened, they will enjoy that welfare facilities, and because of that there is an increase in the uh, rate of the divorce. Then feminism, feminism, or we were discussing changing gender role. Changing gender role. The changing position of the woman in the society is a crucial. Just recall the previous lecture we were discussing with what's happening, that it's now becomes important. The woman needs to do job, and more than half of the labor is a woman. So when women give more of their time at the workplace, and man is also on the other hand. So what ultimately they don't have much time for each other. What ultimately happened that this divorce or this marriage will be end up on the divorce. Then from the fifth perspective, postmodernism. Postmodernization or postmodernism. Both religion and the traditional values have declined in the if we talk about from the British perspective. As a result, there is no longer a set of social values. Now they are concerned about social values which force people into staying married. There is less social stigma attached to getting divorced. Social structure, or you can say there is less social stigma attached to getting divorced, and so people are free to choose to get divorced. The change reflects the declining the importance of the social structure and right the consumer culture. The idea that individual can choose their own lifestyle, although in I'm just talking from the perspective of UK perspective, because where they have a more options, and when they think that the things is not going well, what they will do, they will have more options, they can choose whatever they want. So most of their marriage life will be ends on their on the divorce. But if we talk about from the Muslim communities, the concept of izzat still prevails. Okay, the word I'm using is that still prevails. Most people think that our wife is our respect, our izzat, so we are not getting or we are not going to leave her. So that could be the Muslim community thinking. Then the last one is late modern sociologist, late modernism or late modernization. It argue basically against the postmodernism. Getting a divorce is not a simple matter of individual choice, rather than increasing the divorce rate because of the changing the nature of the typical relationships. They said now the nature of the relationship has been changed. Relationship is changed. For example, guidance argue that typical type of family or the relationship is pure. It exists lessly to meet the partner's needs is likely to continue only so long it succeeds. Couples stay together because of love happens of the sexual attraction rather than for tradition or for the sake of the children. So when say pure relationship, when people have love for each other, love for each other, then marriage can be successful, rather than they just have a marriage for the sake of the children. So in short, we have increased the expectation of the marriage, and if it does not work of us, then we get divorced. If we talk about, if we add some of the back arguments, they points that divorce has increased because of the typical late modern family is characterized by more gender equality and negotiation. Say that because we are more focused on the gender equality, and that is the ultimate reason to increase the divorce rate. Pleasing both partners takes a lot of time and effort, which is simply not sustainable when both partners are in the paid work. Obviously, when if you wanted to make your marriage life successful, you need to give time to each other. But when both of them will spend more of their time in the workplace, what ultimately happens? They don't have much time for each other, so they don't have a feeling and the commitment for each other. What ultimately happened, which in turn explain the high level of the divorce. So that was some of the reason we discussed, that how cohabitation has been increased and how the divorce rate has been increased. So next we will see that what are the consequences in increasing the divorce rate and in